this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into relationships, sharing with you some uncommon but important secrets that no one ever told you about relationships. So let's get right into it. This may seem uncommon, but it is wildly important that you do so. I'll give you a background. I was with someone some time ago, a relationship of course, and this person told me all kinds of things that they have been through, horrific things, things that no human being should have to endure. And so I listened, and before long I was enthralled. I was a believer in what this woman had told me. And so months, turned into about a year into two, and we had a young child, a daughter. And after that point, much of the things that she had told me, begin to not unravel, but became suspicious, because I began asking questions. And that's what intelligent people do. They ask questions. Even if it's not of the person, they ask questions about the thing that relates to that person. And so I was asking questions. And the more I asked questions, the answers weren't satisfying. You get that feeling where something just doesn't sit, well with you. However, if you are a man and a father who cares about your child and your children, and so simply, bouncing or splitting isn't the easiest or the first thing that comes to your mind. And so, of course, you try to figure out ways in your mind and in relationship to make things work. However, you keep seeing more of the same. And so the first uncommon strategy that I want to share with you is this. You see, at the time, the person that I was with had an ex-husband. Ex-husband used to come by the house, and he's come by the house to pick up, the child between him and the person that I was with. Now there's a wrinkle in this, in that the child is not his. The child belonged to another man, but that's for another story for another time. But I hope you stay with me. But here, the entanglement is important, because this happens in, the real world. And so this man, this ex-husband that is, used to pick up a child that was not his, but was placed upon him by the same person that I was with. And guess what? She had told him the same kinds of sob stories about her trials and travails, and he too had fell for it. And so the first important uncommon strategy is this. Men befriend the ex of the person that you are now in a relationship with. Here's why. You want to befriend the person. I don't mean you two have to be buddies, but I want you to have a cordial relationship, at least a talking one, to say, hey, I'm now with this person that you were with. You may or may not have a child with the person. If you have a child, even more important, because obviously you are now another person in this child's life. And so you have a bridge to build at least some rapport with that person. And you don't have to then say interrogate the person, but what I want you to do is to ask some simple questions that may lead to a conversation. So like interrogation, in the sense that you're not grilling the person, but you're simply having an open-ended question. So, how have things been, last few years, with, this person? Seems like a wonderful person. I don't understand why she would leave a good person like you. And so on and so forth. So as you build that rapport, and as you build a certain level of openness from the person, they may share with you, as you share with them, to say, hey, she's been through some horrible things. I'm not saying you are the one who did it, but I can't stand something like that. And then that may trigger something in him to say, hey, I heard the same thing, or what have you. Come to find out, I didn't speak to that person who was the ex-husband, but I came very close to at least having a conversation with him, and that opened up some other things that I was suspicious about, over the years. And so it's very important. In fact, it's crucial and a really underrated strategy to making sure the person you're with is the person you indeed should be with, and the person that cares and loves for you as you care and love for them. And so that's the first uncommon strategy. Second uncommon strategy is this. I know when love strikes, you tend not to focus on the little things, but I need you to focus on the little things. Things you hear that may sound like, that may make you scratch your head, that may make you take a double, turn or twist or whatever movement comes to your body. I want you to pick up on the little things. Make notes. And if you have to, and you have your phone with you, you want to also make a quick note, after the moment or after the situation has passed and you're in the clear or you're in the bathroom, and you make a little note of these little things, because the little things are the most important things to pick on. So for example, in a relationship, if the woman, in the case of a man, and I'm a man, so I'm going to speak from that perspective, if the woman has not passed gas in your company, be warned and be suspicious. You might be thinking, what's the big deal? Why should she pass gas in your presence? Well, think about it this way. If she's not passing gas in your presence, what else is she hiding? Because everyone in this world, every human being passes gas. And especially if you are intimate with the person, if you are in a relationship, dare I say a marriage with the person, and you have not once smelled the odor of this person passing gas, that means, or that suggests, what else is the person hiding from you if they're hiding their fart, right? Again, very uncommon, but very important, because it's a metaphor for other things that the person may not be sharing or revealing with you or hiding from you, that is very important to knowing really who you're with and who you should remain with if you have doubts or have questions, or if you don't have doubts but think they're going so well, and you have these situations where you need to be asking these questions, if not of yourself, of the person that you're with. And so if the person doesn't pass gas, or have never passed a bowel or urine while you're in the bathroom with her, think about it. What else is she hiding? What else is he hiding from you? So that's the second uncommon strategy I want you to focus on. And speaking of little things, take note of these, so-called Freudian slips. That is, these statements that are made either in jest or they're made in passing. These are very, very important notes to keep in mind. So, for example, when somebody told me that I was with, don't lose the love of your family, that was both a threat and a declaration of war. I didn't think much of it because it seemed like, why I should be saying that, right? Don't love the love of your family. But indeed, it was a harbinger of things to come, because before you know it, a few months later, we were in a situation where I, was being thrown out of my house, and she had called the police after leaving the house with, my children. And so, that threat, that sort of, passing commentary, as it were, was really something that I should have read into and not simply dismiss or put under the proverbial rug. So keep note of the little things that you think are insignificant, you think are not that important. Believe me, those tidbits will add up to a meal. Those clues will lead to a trail that will be very revealing for you. And think about this, and this is the next strategy. Some of us often think that, hey, I've been with the person for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. I'm just going to keep trying to work it out. I'm just going to keep on pushing and, trying to make things work, even though things have not been working and they will never work. Here's the thing. It is never too early or never too late to leave a relationship that is just not made for you. Check this out. You see, love is a two-way street. Love is a two-way highway. That street bleeds into the highway. If you get on the highway and the other person, the passenger in this vehicle that you're with, this love mobile, so to speak, and that person is not one to, laugh at your jokes, or they give a fake laugh or a fake smile, as soon as you turn your back or turn your head, there's a certain grimace on their face, a certain painful look on their face, that person does not love you. If you say that you're in pain and that person, doesn't pay you any attention or any mind, that person doesn't love you. And so pick up on the small things. Pick up on the things that you know should happen, where love should be, but it's not happening. If that person and their child and their family member gang up on you during an argument or during a verbal fight, they don't love you. If the person will not come to your aid, if someone is disrespecting you, either in person or online or through text or whatever means, and the person, does not even move a muscle in their lips or their mouth to say or do something in your defense, they don't love you. So pick up on the clues and the cues of whether love is present or not. The next strategy that I want to share with you that's very important and that is uncommon is this. All of us have relationships that have not worked out, and we have tried to move on, and sometimes we do move on, but sometimes we don't. And here's the thing. The uncommon thing is that we move on when we think we moved on, but we have not. And so here's a strategy for moving on. Here's how it works. The pain from last relationship, because no relationship ends, in some glorious, victorious, parade through the streets where you're feeling on cloud 10 and everything is wonderful. No one ends a relationship in that manner. And so if you're among the rest of us who have not had that glorious exit, then this strategy is for you. The strategy that I'm going to share with you is important for this reason only. And I learned this from my elders. You cannot open one door if you haven't closed the other. There's also a proverb from West Africa that's also apropos here. Never test the depth of a river with both feet. Always put in one foot. And so this applies to not only the strategy I'm going to share with you, it applies to the first strategy I share with you. And I'll come back to that in a moment. Let me deal with this strategy, the current one, number 4. In this strategy, what you want to do is let the pain from the previous relationship or relationships that you have not moved on from. You want to let the pain envelop you, surround you. Let it almost, squeeze you like a very, very tight beer hug. Let it hurt you. And then throw it away as far as you can. Dismiss it. Handle it in the most meanest and nastiest way. And that's how you get it out of your system. Further, when I say let the pain surround you, I mean, don't simply try to dismiss it. Don't laugh it off. Don't, shoo it away. Don't, try to play as if it didn't happen. If you don't have feelings for this person, if the person doesn't come into your mind, if the person does not, come into your dreams, don't pretend or lie that those things are not happening. Confront them. When the thought comes, throw it out of your head. Curse if you have to in your head. Get the whatever out of here. When the feeling comes, let it surround you. Let it get all up in you. And when it's just about to crush you, treat it in the nastiest, meanest way. That will make it feel like it's unwanted. And it will not stick around. It won't come back or come back that often. And keep doing that. So let the pain envelop you. Let it surround you. Let it almost crush you. Just before it feels about to crush you, you do it in the most nastiest, meanest way that you can. And by doing so, you begin to what? Incrementally get the person out of your soul. Get it out of your system once and for all. And when you see that person, when you hear of the person, and you feel nothing, that's when you know you have truly moved on from that person. So now I'm going to circle back to the first thing I shared with you. In terms of that proverb I shared a moment ago. Never test how deep a river is with both feet. And so when a woman tells you she's been through some horrific things, sexual assault or abuse, physical violence, and other kinds of ill treatment, believe her. Do it. Believe her. But what I want you to do, I also want you to check out the story. And this is why the second strategy, check with her ex. If you can, befriend one of her best friends. The one that is least attractive. The one that is, is not always the one that is highly regarded within the group. And all girlfriends, have this group where there is the one that, is not the most desirable. Friend her, right? Give her a compliment, but mean it, of course, right? And when she smiles, just give her compliments. Say, hi, how are you doing? Small talk. right? Keep it moving. Befriend her. And before you know it, she will let you know what the person you're with is up to. What is she doing? Because all women confide in their best friend. And sometimes the best friend is actually a relative, meaning a cousin. Either case, they're going to have that less desirable but tag-along friend in the group. Friend her. That's another gem I'm sharing with you. And she will be a very important eyes and ears for the whereabouts and the happenings with this person that you build a relationship with. Always have one foot in the river, one foot out. And the foot that's out, that's the foot that's going to be what? Suspicious. Don't take things at face value. Yes, believe her. Believe her. But while you believe, also don't be deceived and take things at face value. Right? Ask the right questions. The last strategy that I'll share with you is a strategy that is also uncommon but equally effective and important. This strategy involves being very honest with yourself, because love does blind. Love does throw up those blinders. Love does conceal. Love hides. If you find yourself as a man and you are doing the bulk of the work in the house for the children, taking care of them, cleaning the house, drop off and pick up, and you say, well, she's not feeling well, she has this to do. Those may be true, but those are also excuses, because love doesn't let the other partner suffer. They share the load. Love does that. And so sometimes we will often lie to ourselves, put on those blinders, heavy, and use love as an excuse to dig a deeper hole for yourself when love is not really there. And if love isn't there and the children involved, it is hard to move on. It is hard to say, I'm through. And so what do? You pray on it. You pour libation on it. You speak directly to the Almighty and say, show me a sign that this is for me and this is not. Show me a way out of where I can't see. Let me always see through people like glass. Let me see their intentions before it becomes manifest. Let me see and hear and feel what I need to feel to know for sure that what I'm with is whom I should be with. And I ask that early and ask those questions often. And if you're in a marriage, remember, whether you believe it or not, whether you know it or not, that matrimony is made in front of the greatest witness of all, and that's the Almighty. And that means something. And so when people play around with marriage as a transaction, relationship as a business deal, yeah, I want to be with him because he has this, I want to be with her because she has this. Whether it be status, whether it be body, whether it be money, whether it be property, whether it be whatever it may be, degrees, whatever, drives you towards that person, that is not about who the person really is, and it's about the things and that they may have possessed, right? That matrimony occurs in front of the greatest witness of them all. And that's not taken lightly. So when people treat relationships like transactions, like business deals, and you see that happening in your relationship, it's never too early, never too late to say, this is not for me. And deal with the children in the way that is most righteous and upright on your part, which is what you can control, and let the rest be as it may. And remember, you keep the Almighty close, closer than ever, because that's what's going to guide you through and be with you when it gets very nasty, and it will be nasty. And that's the ultimate test that that person was not meant for you. If it gets nasty, that person was always nasty. That person wasn't simply hurt or in pain or disappointed by the fact that you no longer want to be with them. The split will open up the muck that's always been there, the filth that's always been there. And that's what you asked for, didn't you? You wanted a sign. Well, there it is. Stay well. Until next time.